Great, Dallas. You can bring up my first slide. Good evening. Thank you for being here this evening. This is a neighborhood meeting for a proposed In-N-Out burger in the eastern portion of Longmont. This is a virtual neighborhood meeting, so we are live streaming via YouTube, and we will have the opportunity for folks to call in. And because we are on YouTube, a recording of this meeting will be available for future viewing for anyone you know who might not have been able to make the live stream this evening. So next slide. So in terms of who we all are, I'm Jennifer Hewitt-Apperson. I'm a principal planner with the City of Longmont in the Planning and Development Services Department. With us from the city tonight are Josh Sherman, who is our engineering administrator on the development review side, and Dallas Stiles, who is our digital and video live stream specialist, who will be keeping everything running smoothly for us and helping with the electronic facilitation. On the applicant side, we have Jeff Bryant, who is representing In-N-Out. And then we also have Tasha Bolivar, who is with Galloway, with Galloway, who is the engineering and planning firm who is working on this project. So again, I'll give an overview of the project and the process, and then we'll shift to the applicant presentation, at which point we will open the floor, open the phone line basically for public questions and public comments. So next slide. So just in terms of housekeeping, so this is how our question and comment section will function. After I give the city side of the presentation and Jeff and Tasha give the project details, we'll take a 5-minute break. And during that time, you will have the opportunity to call in and get in the call-in queue to answer your questions. We'll go through the instructions about muting the live stream when you're speaking when we get there. Once we get to that point where we break for call-in, there will be a call-in phone number and meeting ID for you to use. So it's pretty straightforward, and then you'll get in the queue, and as it's your turn, Dallas will call on you to provide your comments and questions. So next slide. So in terms of the project overview, this is a proposal for an In-N-Out drive-through restaurant on 1.63 acres northeast of the Costco on the south side of Ken Pratt Boulevard. This area is zoned mixed-use regional center, and as such, restaurants with drive-throughs are permitted as a conditional use, which is why we are here this evening. So conditional uses require approval by the Planning and Zoning Commission. So as such, all of our development projects that do require any sort of public hearing process are required to have a neighborhood meeting. So next slide. So in terms of the process, as I mentioned, we're here for a neighborhood meeting. Following this neighborhood meeting, the applicant will be able to submit their application for conditional use site plan and a minor subdivision plat, which at that point would be reviewed by members of the Development Review Committee with the City of Longmont. That committee consists of staff from planning and development, from various parts of our public works, natural resources, engineering section, who would review things such as traffic, drainage, utilities. We also have our utility providers, Longmont Power, taking a look at this as well. So it's a pretty wide review group. It does also include representatives from public safety, specifically fire. So once the Development Review Committee has finalized their review, determined that their questions have been resolved, they will make a recommendation, at which point it would go to a Planning and Zoning Commission public hearing where a decision would be made. I don't yet have a timeline for when this Planning and Zoning Commission hearing will occur. A lot of that depends on how long it takes to review the application, how many different review cycles and resubmittals would be required. So that's still up in the air. So I don't yet have that information. One thing to note is we do require neighborhood meetings at the city of Longmont prior to an application being submitted. So this is really the first step in the process in terms of what the city thinks, what our recommendations are. At this point, we don't have one because we don't yet have an application under review. So this is really the very first step. Next slide. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jeff and Tasha from the In and Out team to discuss the project in greater detail.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. So good evening. My name is Jeff Bryant, and I'm In and Out's development manager for this new In and Out burger restaurant that we're proposing with the drive-through lane just east of the Costco gas station on the south side of Ken Pratt Boulevard. Next slide, please. So first off, I'd like to thank you all very much for being here, your interest in this project, and most importantly, just for taking the time this evening to come attend this meeting and get a little bit more information. So far, since our submittal went public a couple of weeks ago, we've had a lot of positive feedback so far, and I can assure you that we're equally excited at the opportunity to become one of your neighbors and a member of the overall Longmont community. So I'd like to start this meeting with a little bit of history on In and Out, since some of you may not be aware. But 75 years ago, back in 1948, Harry and Esther Snyder opened the first In and Out burger with its innovative two-way ordering speaker and drive-through. The restaurant served the freshest burgers, the coolest shakes, and the hottest fries in a friendly, sparkling, clean atmosphere. Times have definitely not changed at In and Out. Our menu is still the same basic menu that our guests have enjoyed since 1948. And we've been serving up everything the exact same way, hot made food ready to order using only the highest quality ingredients. Next slide, please. So as you can see, this In and Out restaurant is going to be approximately 3,900 square feet with indoor seating for 77 guests and outdoor seating for 28 guests under a detached patio. The site was going to be well landscaped, and it's going to include a covered trash enclosure, a drive-through with dedicated on-site queuing for 29 cars, as well as on-site parking for 40 guests, excellent vehicle circulation on-site that has no dead-end parking aisles, and it's got access to the rest of the surrounding development as well as Ken Pratt. Next slide, please. As you can see on the proposed building, it's a single-story, 24-foot tall Spanish Mediterranean in style with exterior stucco, modern metal awnings, a flat-roofed tower, and a brick wainscot that surrounds the whole building. Next slide, please. The restaurant will operate 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 1 a.m. Sunday through Thursday, and from 10 a.m. to 1:30 a.m. on Friday and Saturday. The restaurant, the drive-through, the parking lot, as well as all In and Out burger restaurants is going to be well lit and meticulously maintained. And the restaurant's going to be staffed by approximately 10 to 12 associates per shift, 3 shifts per day. Last slide, please. At this point, as Jennifer mentioned earlier, this is still really early in our process, but once permits are ultimately issued, our construction of the restaurant will typically be done in a single phase and take approximately 6 months with a typical progression of the construction activities and landscaping and everything to follow. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that any of you may have.
All right. So now we are going to lay down a few ground rules for our public comment tonight. So we're going to have 3 minutes per speaker. We're going to have our speakers state your name and where you live. We ask that you please keep questions and comments related to the current proposal. Be additive, not repetitive. Be civil, respectful. And with that, we're going to open it up to public comment and questions. So as you can see on the slide here, these are the instructions for comments and questions. You're going to dial the number 1-888-788-0099. When you do that, you're going to enter the meeting ID 895-1384-8350. So we're going to take a 5-minute break right here. Remember that once you are in the queue, please mute your live stream. So that way we're not getting a feedback loop. Make sure you're listening to the device because that's where I'll be able to call on you and let you know that it'll be your time to speak. Thanks. And with that, we're going to take a 5-minute break.
Great. Thanks, Dallas. Appreciate it.
For those watching at home, we have a little over a minute left. Now is your time to call in. Again, dial the number 1-888-788-0099. Once you do that, enter the meeting ID 895-1384-8350. Got about 45 seconds left. All right, and that is our 5-minute break. Jennifer, we have no callers here.
All right. Well, it sounds like based on that, folks' questions have probably been answered. If you'll go to the last slide. So if questions come up following this live stream, feel free to reach out to either me or Tasha. Our contact information is on the screen. I am at jennifer.hewittapperson@longmontcolorado.gov, and I can be reached at 303-651-8439. Alternatively, you can reach out to Tasha Bolivar, who is at tashabolivar@gallowayus.com, 303-770-8884. As noted, this live stream is recorded and will be available for future viewing on the city's YouTube channel. And with that, I want to thank everyone for tuning in and have a good evening. Thank you so much.
Thanks all. Have a good evening.